Here we are once again in sunny California, and none other than the Hustler Casino Live. Today is something hopefully a little less loony than the bounty game that you guys saw last time around. Things are pretty simple, 10-20 with the 40-40 on, as well as you guys will be seeing the $80 straddle. Without further ado, let's get right into the session because, as you'll see very quickly, for me, we get literally right into it. This is the first hand that comes off the deck and fireworks are already going. I'm in the hijack and I look down at Queen 9 suited. In a game like this, probably a good idea to be opening hands like this, as, you know, we got to be playing a little looser than normal. Can be a tight knit, so we make it $150. The big blind Mr. Wob decides to make the call. Just going to refer to him as Rob for the rest of the day because Wob makes me sound like I'm, you know, not all there. We're going off to a flop against this gentleman where we flop ourselves the top pair and a flush draw. When he checks it over to me, I decided to throw out a C-bet here of $200, sizing up a tad bit. Donation. He calls and mentions that it is a donation. I definitely take a little bit of that into account as I have never played with this player before, so I'm taking it for face value. And even more so when the turn card comes the Queen of Clubs. At this point, my opponent checks to me once again, and I have nothing else to do here besides go for some more value. Good thing here is that I make trips, so it's unlikely for me to have a queen. The bad thing is a lot of his really weak hands or flush draws or straight draws are probably fold now that the turn pairs. All that to be said, probably going to bet small here, little catch-all sizing. He obliges and makes the call for the small bet. The river card is really interesting. Doesn't change anything at all. The flushes miss, the straight draws miss, and my opponent does something that I definitely wasn't expecting. He leads out for 1K. I don't really know what to take this for. Feels like this is most likely going to be a bluff or a really weak hand trying to get the showdown. So when I see that, the immediate reaction in my head is to go all in. In real time, I thought my opponent had significantly less. To be totally fair, I thought my opponent only had about 1.5k behind. As you guys can see from my angle, I could not see the 2k stack of white chips that were hidden behind his brown chips. I only saw the 1k that he put out and then the 1k in brown chips he had behind. Definitely don't think it was an angle shoot. It's just something that, you know, obviously when I'm playing really fast in these games, I try to play as fast as possible. I don't like tanking. If I just waited like 5 seconds and tried to gather his entire stack situation and went all in or whatever, I would have probably had a better understanding of what the hell I was getting myself into. But in this case, I didn't. I say all in, it's binding, and I go all in for 4.3k, and he pretty much beats me into the pot. I show my hand because I genuinely think I'm good, and I'm astonished to see that my opponent has a boat. Again, maybe I'm just getting angled. I don't know. He says the donation thing. There's like 2k in white chips behind his stack. To be totally honest, don't think I got angled. Just think I was a sucker in the hand. But let me know what you think in the comment section down below. To be totally honest, 1.5 hours go on before the next meaningful hand is played. I have been the most card dead I've ever been in an entire session, and that is not exaggeration. I wish there was some way I could show the stats of the hands rankings that I've been getting to this point. We've all been there. We've all been card dead, but this is a perfect spot to save the day. The double straddle to $80 is on, and I look down at pocket sixes. I decide to make it $240, and only Mike X in the double straddle decides to make the call. We end up flopping a set on a very wet board texture, and we love the sight of everything, even more so when Mike decides to lead out for $400. Easy spot for us to go ahead and raise for value. I think Mike X can be doing this with a plethora of hands, pair plus straight draws, pair plus flush draws. I go ahead and make it $1,200, and he pretty much beats me into the pot with a raise, putting me all in. Again, this all happens really fast, and I don't really allow myself to think it over, but at the end of the day, against an opponent like Mike X, who's definitely shown the propensity to get pretty wild, specifically in today's session, he came in with the intent to bring the action, as this is a significantly smaller game than he's accustomed to playing. So it seems like either he doesn't care about the money today or he just came to have fun, which both things are totally fine with me. So I have a pretty easy spot to just flick it in here. A $20,000 pot, and not something to really shy away from. One of the biggest pots I've ever played in my life, and definitely the biggest pot I believe I have played this year. So we're going off to a run out, and pretty quickly we find out that we're in really bad shape. Mike X flopped himself a 7-high flush with 7-3. Yeah, pretty action-packed game. It just sucks that we're not getting anything going. Mike X is kind enough to let us run it twice here, and on both boards we do not improve. $20,000 pot, scooped by not myself. At least it was to Mike X, a friend of the vlog. Hi Mike, hopefully you liked the video. To this point in my Hustler Casino Live career, we have just been hit by everything but the deck. Even when we make hands, it seems like our opponents either get there or we just, can't hold for whatever reason. All that is going on in my head when this next hand happens, where I'll save you guys the trouble. It's about a $10,000 bomb pot where we flop a set of queens on one board and an open ender to the straight, the nut straight on one board, and we don't get there on either one of them as our set is covered by a set of kings, and we never get there on the other board. So $10,000 pot, another big hit to our stack, and something that's definitely starting to drain the energy out of my session.
Sit down. So Foddy, still the big winner, up almost 15,000 now. Mike X though, right behind him, up 11,000. Ronnie and Wob also having nice days. Kieran stuck 18K and Nate down 13.
Just not play Friday so you don't take this loss when you win. The less you bet, the more you're losing when you win. That's horrible. I know how you feel.
To be totally honest and candid, I don't think I've ever been stuck $18,000 in a session in my entire life. Yeah, like sure, I've lost $18,000 in a session before, but I don't think I've ever been down like $20,000 and sat there willingly trying to win my money back. It sounds crazy, but usually, you kind of hit your stop loss at a point and you kind of have to call it a day. But on stream, it's kind of a little bit of an ego thing. You can't just get blasted and just walk off set. We still have another 4 hours of filming left to do. As you guys can see, down $18,000. My heart is sinking. Nothing's going my way. And to be honest, I'm not having much fun. All right, hopefully we can get some positive things going, especially when we looked at one of my favorite hands in poker. The double straddle's on, and Ken in the hijack makes it $300 to go. I look down at one of my favorite hands, one of the best hands in poker, Jack 10 of clubs. I decide to make the call here. The big blind calls, and so does their straddler. We're going 4 ways off to a flop, where we end up with a gutter ball on a king high board with 2 diamonds. Although I'll never really recommend you guys to be calling with gutter balls that are not the cleanest, as if queen of diamond comes, obviously that's not great for me. When you're stuck $18,000, you're gonna try to start making fire out of literally anything. At this point, I'm just trying to add a little bit of spark into the session. I make a pretty loose call here with not much money behind. I think somewhere in the neighborhood of 5K, and the 2 opponents in the blind fold. We're going to a turn card where we finally find the magic. The spark clicks. We make ourselves the Nutter Butters. Absolutely nothing to be worried about here outside of the fact that my opponent can have a ton of equity, and it's probably a good idea to have as much money in the middle going now than later. When my opponent bets out for 700, we ship it in the middle, 5K, let's get it. Ken goes deep into the tank. He's thinking about a couple of different things. To be fair, I haven't played too many hands in this session, but if he knows anything about me, I can definitely find a stupid bluff or 2 to have here. Unlucky for us, he is eventually going to make the fold. Good on fold on to you, but sucks for me as a session that is going pretty bad teeters on a little bit for some goodness, but still needed a double up there, but can't complain when you're winning the pot.
I went to the restroom. Ronnie's taking a piss, so I'm like, you gotta know.
I had big hands.
You can hear him singing on the way out.
I had his queen there.
Don't tell me it was something. And then right after that,
I just wanted to
I'm
show
like,
Ronnie
just sitting there on the toilet, like, I curse.
No, not that. I said I've tried to block.
No, he had kings, Nick.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Okay.
The pain and misery of the session is slowly going away. The table chatter is off the rails. Although I'm stuck $20,000, I've never had more fun playing poker. Things change pretty quickly when the group of guys around you are a bunch of fun. And if it's not for Nick jabbing at Mike and Mike jabbing back at him, now I got Ronnie slapping his ass on the side of the Hustler table. This table and this game is absolutely off the rails. And I'm just thankful to be here, and, hopefully we can make some hands too. In this next hand, we are in a really interesting spot with the ace-6 offsuit. Interesting being that we've put money in the middle as a razor with a pretty shit hand, but hey, nothing's new. Nate from the button decides to call. The small blind calls as well. King, king, queen with 2 clubs and a spade. At this point, I don't know if I have the ace of spades or the ace of clubs, but I do know I have a black ace. So I'm going to pretend like I have the ace of clubs if a club comes. So I bet $220. Nate folds and Nick Vertucci calls. We're going to the turn card that does bring in that front door flush. At this point, once again, Mr. Nick decides to check. And at this point, I am going to go with the story that I had told myself I'd say. I'm going to go ahead and bet here, and luckily for me, Mr. Nick decides to fold. Very lucky for me there, as we did not have a club, but a small pot, albeit, but something I desperately needed. Momentum. I believe in it. This is huge for the program. If you folks have made it to this point in the video and haven't dropped a like yet, it would mean the world to me if you did. It costs you a grand total of $0, but it goes a really long way in helping our channel grow. For me to continue playing the highest stakes, the most exciting games, I'm going to need your guys' help to continue supporting the videos and helping me achieve some of my goals, and hopefully for you guys to watch and come along the journey with me. Let's hop into this next hand where Nate opens from early position to $100. There's too many calls to keep track of. I'm in the big blind getting pretty good pot odds, and I just flick it in with 7-4. The good thing is this is a really great starting hand for blackjack. The bad thing is I'm playing Texas Hold'em. Well, we are on a flop here that I end up with bottom pair. Pretty easy fold for us when Nate bets off for 200, but when everyone folds and the action is on me and I close the action, I decide, you know what? Let me flick in the call here. I'm the last person to act. Maybe he's full of it with like a little king jack, king 10 type bluff. The turn card comes a 7 of spades, so the bluffing crap has to go right out of the window. We now have a value hand. We check to our opponent and he decides to bet 500. With his exact hand, as you guys can see, the queen jack off. I don't know if I really totally love this bet. I mean, maybe it's good considering how freaking wide I play against Nate. As you guys can hear, he thinks I'm calling him with a gutter ball, which honestly, to be fair, is not a bad call. But yeah, in this hand, I have 2 pair. I think I should be raising here at this point, but I'm laying the trap and we're going to the river card and it comes to 3 of diamonds. Trap is laid. We're ready to go. We're locked in, but we check. Yeah, absolute disaster. In a better frame of mind when I'm not stuck like 15, 20,000, I think I can throw out a small bet and win the maximum here, as Nate probably is going to call, as he usually tends to play a little stickier against me. But in today's game, when I'm losing the maximum and I'm in probably not the best poker frame of mind, I just check and I win. I win the minimum. Unfortunate for me there, but like I said, I'm just happy to win pots at this point. I'll take it. Closing out the session, I have saved the best for last. The double straddle is on, and a $240 raise from Ronnie in early position is definitely something to be a little cautious of. Without a pretty strong hand, I probably won't be getting in the mix, but once again, I don't have to worry about that. I look down at the nuclear weapons of mass destruction. Pocket fucking aces, man. I don't even know if I deserve it. Like, sure, I'm stuck, but whatever. I have pocket aces. I make it 1.1k to go. It's not rocket science. Action folds back to Ronnie, who decides to 4-bet me to $3,200. Yeah, Ronnie has like kings or something. He's never going to fold. This is literally what dreams are made of. When a player like Ronnie, who definitely has some chops, some poker chops post-flop to make some crazy moves, to be fair, pre-flop isn't really going to be getting out of line. This is the best case scenario. Easy spot for us to jam. Don't have to overthink it. I don't have to make some kind of stupid little just flat call. Let's put the money in the middle. We know he's probably going to call it off, and he calls me off, beats me to the pot, and just like that, one of the biggest pots of my life is happening all over again. $20,000 in the middle once again, and hopefully this time we can hold. Ronnie asked to run it twice. I'm happy to do so every single time. Aces versus queens, one of the biggest coolers in poker. Let's hope to hold. We'll throw it to the commentary.
Them bitches. Come on, baby. Show me that. One time.
You guys are going one. I'm doing it twice. Twice.
Oh. Please don't give me no queen. Please don't give me no queen.
And this one's going to be Karen.
Okay.
Ronnie's still with 2 queens out there.
How much you got? Oh, fuck it. I didn't believe this. Right at the fucking end, it's got to come. How does this happen?
Brick.
6,000. Actually.
And
yeah, no
a
problem.
boat for Kieran, so he's going to double.
Oh my goodness. A much needed pot in a much needed situation. This kid from Cali was looking for something to keep him in the game, and just like golf, when you hit that pretty shot, it keeps you coming back. It's a good feeling, I can't lie to you, but poker takes and it giveth away. Unfortunately for Ronnie, he loses a big one, and fortunately for me, I'm a little less stuck on the day. Happy to be here, always thankful to get the invitation from Ryan and Nick Bertucci. Shout out to everyone of the Hustler staff, as they always treat me like family there, and most importantly, shout out to you, lovely lot. Because without you guys, I don't have any of these opportunities, and I want to remain grateful and remember to be grateful to you lovely folks. So all that to be said, let's talk a little more about how we did at the end of the session and throw it over to me right now. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to bring a close to the Hustler Casino Live visit number 6, 7, I don't even remember, but the important thing is that we have to talk about the numbers. But the one positive, I'm a few days removed, I'm in a better mood after losing. I just scored the best run of golf I ever have in my life. I shot +8 at Alhambra, which is right behind me, which is kind of a big deal for me, but I was into the game for 25,000, one of the biggest buy-ins in my life, and I was out of the game for 16,590. So a loss of a little more than about $8,000. Definitely something that's painful. I'm not going to pretend like it isn't. Losing back-to-back streams is not something that we had in the plans. I don't think I've ever been that card dead in my entire life. It was just pretty frustrating. I can't thank you guys enough for the support. It's been really overwhelming, to say the least. These videos aren't performing as good as maybe my I'd once has, but the comments are unbelievable. You guys are just way too nice and really positive, and I really appreciate that. So like I told you guys, if you haven't already, click the like button down below. If you guys want to play with me on the Splash Squads, I say this pretty often, but I promise you it's the best action you'll ever run into on the online poker felt, with VPIP minimums and stuff like that. Really easy to do so. Click the link at the top of the description. I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna keep grinding, y'all. Also, I'm gonna go into detail of how I lost weight, by the way. The weight loss stuff has been huge. Have a lovely day. Stay happy, healthy, more importantly, we're going to the tables, y'all. Whoa! Make sure to send your video submissions to the close to broke c2bpoker@gmail.com if you want to come to the WSOP this year. Not a lot of entries so far, so it's very likely that one of you guys win. I'll see you guys there. Tell me why you should come to the WSOP this year.
Too easy. I can do this with my eyes closed. I can do this with my eyes closed.